I think the most important thing about being good at technology is probably the most important thing at being good at any craft, which is practice. So it's not just about what you do in the hours that you're at the job. You have to go home and continue to practice and work on it. So in the programming world, now it's mostly moved online. There are these incredible online communities, passionate communities that you can join, and you can collaborate on open source projects, or you can just fiddle with things. There's always new projects you can pick up the code and kind of learn on. That's really important. If you're only doing what you're doing during work hours, that's fine, but I don't really think you'll advance and you'll develop the skills to be able to advance in the career, because like everything else, it's a competitive space. The beautiful thing about where we are in 2022 is there's unbelievable free resources out there on the web to do that. And that was not the case back in the early 2000s when I was learning. It was largely like books and a couple of errant chat groups, but it was pretty hard to kind of get into them and make a name for yourself. Now, programming has become such an important language to learn that if you're into it, there's a lot of resources for you out there for free, which I think is important for students to know. Like, you don't have to pay money to be able to access a lot of the things you would need to be a viable programmer. Yeah, look, if you're in high school, the reality is that there are very, very, very few sustainable businesses that have been started by high school students. And so I would say you're in high school, you're a student, you should be learning, right? And I think you should be learning about how business works. You should be learning about how the economy works. You should be learning about how capitalism works. And a lot of that learning can come from working in a business, right? But not just working in a business and like doing your job only, but making relationships with the other people, especially leadership in the company, and asking them questions. Learn by watching, learn by asking questions, ask for additional responsibility, and learn through experience. There really is there's no replacement for experience in the business world at all. And so you're not too young to get that experience in high school, right? I think that's one of the most misunderstood things. You can get an internship while you're still in high school, and you can work at a company, and you can learn the realities of how business actually works while you're in high school. If you want to start a business, that's fine too. But again, you're doing it for the purpose of experience and learning, not because you're going to build the next billion-dollar business from where you are in high school right at that moment. Doesn't mean it's not possible. Anything's possible in the world, but I don't think that's the principal goal. I think the principal goal is you're supposed to learn. The earlier you learn, the better you will be at the right time in your life, right, to really explore entrepreneurship. And the less afraid you'll be of it. I probably would have looked to do more internships during the summer. That probably would be like the key thing. I would have learned more, I would have picked up more, I would have made more relationships that I think would have mattered more later on. That's probably the big thing. I think it's really important for kids in high school to be high schoolers and to do the things they have to do in school to be successful, and to be physically active and to be socially engaged and to make friends and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot already. So layering on, hey, learn about business and learn an entrepreneur, that's very extracurricular, but the summers are a great time to go deep in an extracurricular way, right? Not so much during the school year, but in the summers, absolutely. And so I think summer internships, I would have done maybe one or two, and I really didn't do those. So I would say the teacher who had the biggest impact on me was my 3rd and 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Gardner. Likely because she really, really leaned in on the self-esteem side of things. She taught us, and that was great, but she knew that a big part of her job was to build us up from the inside. And I've had a lot of people say, where'd you get the confidence to do these different things in your life. And certainly, my parents, and very specifically my mother, gets a lot of the credit for that. But when I think back on my schooling, I had a lot of great teachers who also did that. And probably nobody did a better job of that than Mrs. Gardner in 3rd and 4th grade. And so, she was really, really important for that. I think the thing that most people would not think about when it comes to entrepreneurship that I think is really important for high schoolers to understand is how important it is to be healthy in order to be good at entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time. So it's hard work sustained over long periods of time. And while you're in the middle of starting and launching and growing a business, life is still happening. Life out there in the world, life in your home, life in your community. There's all sorts of challenges that are coming up. And starting and running a business is hard enough. And then you layer on all the difficulties of the world. And you really have to be in great shape mentally, physically, and spiritually to endure. There are a lot of people who, get into a bad place because they want to start this business, they're really passionate about it, but they're not paying attention to their health. And, they work really hard on the business, but outside of work, they get into a lot of really negative behaviors just to kind of cope with the difficulties of it all. And so having healthy practices, seeing your doctor regularly, eating well, getting good sleep, exercising, staying hydrated. It could include seeing a therapist if that's helpful to you. All of these things, if you've got a spiritual life, whether that's church or synagogue or whatever, all those things really are super, super important, I think, in order to sustain the difficulties, the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. So that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's mostly like sexy stuff. Look at my car, look at my house, look at my cool office. But at the end of the day, it's hard, it's lonely, and you have to be healthy to do it well. So yeah, that's a big thing. Warren Buffett's in his 90s. He seems to be doing just fine. So I'm like half his age, and I'm just not thinking about retiring. I'm thinking about staying really healthy and staying in the game. That's my plan. Retirement sounds awful. Like I'm gonna go be on a beach and okay. That'll be fun for about a week. Because I would be too busy seeing problems in the world and being frustrated that nobody was solving them, and then I'd just roll up my sleeves and get back in there. So I've long sort of come to the conclusion that now the format by which I'm being an entrepreneur may change, right? But I think I don't know when I'm going to retire. It will be when my health doesn't allow me to do it anymore, and I'm trying to stay as healthy as I can to do it for as long as I can. So that's how I'm looking at it.